So in trying to explain why do we not see aliens, there are various explanations for why we don't see aliens. What stopped those civilizations from expanding beyond their solar system? And what were the sort of sometimes called like Fermi filters? If you don't become a multi-planet civilization, then you're simply waiting around until you die from a self-inflicted wound or from some natural disaster like the dinosaurs, get hit by a big meteorite or something like that. Eventually something like that's going to happen. If you wait around long enough, the sun will expand to engulf Earth and will be incinerated. So that for sure is going to happen. Now, we've got some time before that happens. There are more near-term risks. But we want to try to get past the Fermi filter of being a single planet civilization. Now, this is going to be somewhat cerebral to many people listening, but I think this is actually very important. We want to get past the Fermi filter of a single planet civilization. The point is not to move from Earth to another planet and let Earth die. That's not what I'm saying at all. I want to be a multi-planet civilization so that we have planetary redundancy such that no single event can be the end of our civilization. That is the point of making life multi-planetary.
So let's take a couple questions from the audience. How does AI affect and how will it affect our daily lives?
I mean, AI might be the most important question of all. The percentage of intelligence that is biological grows smaller with each passing month. Eventually, the percentage of intelligence that is biological will be less than 1%. That's actually not what, we just don't want that as brittle. If the AI is somehow brittle, silicon circuit boards don't do well just out in the elements. So I think biological intelligence can serve as a backstop, as a buffer of intelligence. But as a percentage, almost all intelligence will be digital. So then what role will there be for us? I don't know. I think it's very important that we build in a way that is beneficial to humanity. And there's some important principles here, because I've thought about AI safety for a very long time. I think you want to have a maximum truth-seeking AI. This is very important. The AI should not be taught to lie. It should not be taught to say things that are not true. Even if those things are politically incorrect, it should still say what it believes to be true. The entire plot of 2001 Space Odyssey, the reason that HAL 9000 killed the astronauts was because it was forced to lie. I don't know if most people realize that. That's what Arthur C. Clarke was trying to say. Don't make the AI lie. The AI was told that the astronauts could not know the secret of the monolith, but also that it must take them to the monolith. The solution, take them to the monolith dead. And it's very important to have a maximum truth-seeking AI and a maximally curious AI. And I think that's most likely to foster human civilization, because we are much more interesting than a bunch of rocks. So although I think Mars, I love Mars, obviously, but you could render Mars quite easily because it looks like a section of the Arizona desert. It's like red rocks. But the rendering complexity of human civilization is vastly greater by many orders of magnitude. So I think an AI that is truth-seeking, maximally curious, would foster human civilization to see where it goes.
One of the questions here, can AI accelerate your efforts in space? How do you see it helping you in what you're trying to achieve?
Oddly enough, one of the areas where there's almost no AI used is space exploration. So SpaceX uses basically no AI. Starlink does not use AI. I'm not against using it, we haven't seen a use for it. I mean, with any given variant or improvement in AI, there's generally, I'll ask it questions about the Fermi paradox, about rocket engine design, about electrochemistry, and so far the AI has been terrible at all of those questions. There's still a long way to go.
So let's talk about one. Here's a question that's near and dear to your heart. You have a lot of children.
Yes. I'm trying to set a good
example. The
birth
rate is down in the U.S. What needs to change so people start having more children?
Yeah, this question has troubled me for a long time, because you can look at the demographics. It's a very slow-moving ship. Who's going to be an adult in 20 years based on who was born last year? If you want to, I think, have a good approximation for population, really look at how many babies were born last year in a particular country, multiply that by life expectancy. That's the number of people that will be adults in that country. That's the steady state population if birth rate remains constant. Now, birth rate is not constant, it is dropping. So you look at the second derivative of birth rate, and actually we see an acceleration in the drop in the fertility rate. Second derivative of the fertility rate is very bad. Where does this lead? This does not lead to a greater civilization. This leads to a civilization that potentially dies not with a bang, but with a whimper in adult diapers. That is a sad ending.
So obviously we have countries that, like Korea, used to have a birth rate of 6. It's now 3/4.
Yeah.
Here's a slight question for you.
Elon, come pick me up. I'll give you a baby, says one
What
of
do you
the-
think are the...
That is one of the things that says on the screen.
I don't know if everyone heard that. You want to read it?
It says, Elon, come pick me up. I'll give you a baby. Thank you.
Okay.
I certainly encourage everyone in this room to have at least 3 children. Look, this baby's got to come from somewhere. And I think we just want to have, I don't know, I think we want to have a slightly increasing population, not a plummeting population. I think this applies to all countries and cultures. Like, I don't think we want any country or culture to disappear. We want them to ideally flourish and not disappear. In fact, one of the things that is overlooked by probably most historians is the role of low birth rate in the decline of civilization. So around, I think it was around 50 BC, Rome passed a bill to give a bonus to any Roman citizen that would have a 3rd child. So this was a birth rate was a problem in Rome in 50 BC. The Romans weren't making Roman. The same is true of ancient Greece. There was a time from about 800 BC to 300-ish BC where the Greeks had a lot of kids and a lot of surviving kids. Like the birth rate far exceeded the death rate, which is why you had Greek cities popping up all over the Mediterranean. But then I think basically it seems to be that prosperity destroys the birth rate. So when a civilization feels like it has no meaningful external threat and is very prosperous, that is what causes the birth rate to plummet. Somewhat counterintuitively, you think if you've got more resources, surely that would lead to more kids. In fact, it is the opposite. The more prosperous a civilization and the more a civilization feels that it does not need to defend against external threats, the lower the birth rate.